Hey everybody, Scott here. Today we are going to drink a future, hopefully favorite tea, a ripe tea that we call He Zhai. I think I talked about it in a previous video. We've decided that we're going to make this tea, and today I've just gotten a new bag of the loose leaf. It hasn't been pressed yet, and so I'm also thinking of using it to blend with some other teas, but we're definitely going to press a He Zhai ripe tea tea cake. He Zhai is actually a sheng Pu'er, raw Pu'er blend that we do from 3 different villages. He Zhai means like 3 harmonious villages. And we've done that since 2011. We've done that over several years. We've also done a He Zhai, which is a 4 harmonious villages blend. So I had the idea when I came across this tea because it's actually a blend of Mao cha from 3 different areas of Yunnan that they wet piled together to create this really kind of unique and delicious ripe tea. So anyways, we're going to get started on it. Just water just boiled. And yeah, I'm gonna get to it. So yeah, this tea I believe is all 2018 spring Mao cha from Jingmai, Menghai, and Lincang. And so those Mao chas were picked and harvested, and then they were wet piled together, so it's fairly common for ripe teas to have raw material from several areas. Typically the areas aren't super far apart, but sometimes they can be. In this case they're fairly far apart, and all the material was brought to Menghai to be wet piled there by somebody who really knows what they're doing. Anyways, I'm actually going to drink this. I'll just wash in 2 cups here for the heck of it. But, yeah. There's definitely a wet pile taste going on. It's not too strong. But it's very sweet. Be right back. I'm going to go turn down the music and so YouTube doesn't make trouble. And I'm back. Actually, it was just some Chopin, and I don't know if it's actually under copyright or what, but better safe than sorry. Uh-oh, Lucy's barking at the vultures. So sweet, and the wet pile taste actually isn't too strong. I think I first came across this tea about 3 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, and was interested in it, drank it, and then it really kind of improved quite a bit. And I actually drank the whole bag, so then I had to get another after, and then I decided that I wanted to purchase the tea. We had it tested. It tested out okay. Hi, Lucy. And you want to be in the video? Uh-oh. Is that a burp? Dog burp. It's funny when dogs burp, they kind of lurch. They kind of like lurch like this, like they're going to puke or something. Sorry. She's looking at me like, I know you're making fun of me. I know you're making fun of me. I'm sorry, Lucy. I don't have the proper level of respect that I should have for you. Oh, yeah. But, anyways, where was I? Oh, so yeah, I drank the whole bag, decided that we wanted it, and then we got some, and then I got another bag. Although this one has kind of been in transit for about 10 days, and I just opened it up yesterday, so probably has a little bit of trapped water vapor and stuff in there. Excuse me. Oh, nice. This tea's coming out really like more dark, and this is going to be more of a test of what this tea is. But I just really like the idea of these 3 different areas as well, Menghai which has a real strong character, has bitter character. Jingmai is a little more sweet and floral, the teas from Jingmai. And Mengku is kind of like a, kind of got it all. I did say Lincang, but I do believe that the Maocha is from Mengku. So, and together they really create something I think very excellent. Oh my gosh, this is so rich and thick. I'm just kind of in love here. This is so sweet. It does. I mean, it has bitter. It has like a dark chocolatey, like nougaty sweetness to it. You know, bitter, sweet, creamy. Oh wow. It's so nice because that other bag that I had, it was like, it had just like come sitting open because I was trying to let the wet pile taste dissipate. So I left it open, but then it was like cold and the air heater in the house was running and it was definitely like losing some of its essence. But it's nice to get like another bag of it directly from like a huge, 40 kilo sack that's sitting in our warehouse. And that it's just the potency of it is so much more. That really kind of goes back to the whole, how you store teas and you have like a little sample in a bag and it's like, getting dried out and, is that sample indicative of the actual tea itself? So it seems like I'm drinking 2 cups of each. So yeah, I'm just going to go for it here. I really wanted to use the silver to try to, get as much out of it as I could. So, It's so creamy and viscous. That's what's so nice about it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Crimson Rooster. Obviously, the Crimson Rooster, the 2017 Yunnan sourcing Crimson Rooster, kind of reminds me of that a little bit. It has some of that character. I don't know if that's just the Mengku character or what, but that tea, wow, that tea has become really, really good. I mean, it was always good, but again, I think there's a skill involved in drinking young, ripe teas. Like freshly wet piled within a few months or even half a year. Typically, we're drinking them within a month or two after they've been wet piled, and that's definitely kind of a palate that you have to develop. You have to develop your palate to really taste those and be able to judge them and say this one's good and this one's not, even though you're drinking a lot of wet pile taste. To be able to kind of drink through that, to drink it, and to get more than just that out of it. I'm actually going to pour this one in here just to cool it off a little bit and keep going. But yeah, although this isn't exactly the same areas as our He Zhai Pu'er, I think it kind of falls in the same, kind of like in the same line, similar kind of concept. So I thought that would be a good name for it. Really nice and thick. Definitely a dark tea soup. It's definitely not super clear. It's not cloudy either, but it's just so dense. There's so much pigmentation from the tea that it's really quite thick. But it's a nice kind of it's got that burgundy tinge to the brown. Really thick. I'm gonna get really teed out here. Or teed up. I won't say teed off. Yeah, there's definitely wet pile taste. I mean, I think by the time it's pressed and it's been allowed to sit for about a month, by the time that we sell it, I think that the wet pal taste will have faded a bit more. Also, when you take a ripe tea that has some wet pal taste and you steam it to make it soft, and then you press it, and then you cure it through the drying process, both intentionally, like in the warm kind of like hot air room that they do after pressing to keep it from molding, but then also like a period of about a month after, it'll really like continue to dry and cure, and that helps drive out some of the wet pile taste too. So of course storing it loose leaf also would as well. So like not being in a hurry, like I'm not really in a hurry to I haven't been to press this tea. It's sitting in sacks, and although Kunming's not particularly hot, a little bit of heat and humidity probably would help that wet pile taste dissipate even faster. Some people actually send, I know Jihai, Hailang did this. He sent a bunch of his ripe teas that he pressed in 2005 and 2006. In 2006, he sent them to his friend's place in Dongguan to fahan, to sweat, basically. And he did that for, I think, 3 or 4 years and brought them back, and they were really good. And they had no wet pile taste, whereas if they had been stored in Kunming, they would have still had wet pile taste. So, of course, purely Kunming dry, aged ripe, I think, is still the best. But, yeah, anyways. A little bit of time in a hot and humid climate can really make ripe tea lose its wet pile taste pretty quickly. Too long, especially really like wet storage, and the ripe tea kind of becomes very boring and bland and flat, I think. Wow, fruity, chocolatey, still just super creamy, thick output. The tongue is, I've got this mouth-watering effect going on too. These are high-quality teas that were used I don't think that they're old tea trees or anything like that, but they're potent. Spring tea was used. So it's not a cheap tea. It's not a hyper-expensive tea either, but it's definitely, in terms of ripe tea, it's definitely a bit more pricey. But when you taste it and you feel it, you'll understand why. Wow, I probably really should not have used the silver teapot here, but actually I'm gonna pour. I'm not gonna do that. I'll let this fill up, maybe 2 steeps, and or 1 steep would probably be enough. And I'll show you. I'll bring the chahai a little bit closer to the camera, and you can check out the color of the tea soup. Just really well balanced, and that's goes back to the name again. He, the character we use, he, is like this character here, He, and that basically means like harmonious. Like 和谐 means harmonious, or 融合 would be like to bring something together in a good way, like 融合. Sometimes when we're talking about blending teas, you can blend 2 teas together and say, oh, 它的融合性很好, like it goes together very well. It's 融合 or 融合性. So anyways, that's kind of why we decided to use that character. Some people thought San He Zhai is like, actually the Zhai is San is the character here is 3. You can see there's 3 slashes, 1, 2, 3, and then He, the second character, and then the third character is Zhai, which is like village. So some people thought that it was actually San He Zhai or San He village, is an actual village, but it's not. It's just a village in our imagination and in our palate. So, anyways, but He, so it's 3 harmoniously blended villages, or teas from 3 villages. That's kind of the explanation in English of what how the name came about and what the characters mean. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's got a real nice burgundy character to it. It's not a super tippy blend. I did a little, I think we'll put this in the video, but I did a little bit where I took it out of the bag and I put it in a little bowl so you could see it. It's not a tippy blend. It just kind of looks, it's one of those teas that hasn't been graded. So they have they've taken the Mao Cha and they've wet piled it, and then after that they've removed maybe some of the like super large leaf, some of the chato, the tea nuggets, and some other stuff as well. But what they've left is like kind of like an ungraded, you know, melange of different grades, basically, or not graded tea. So it looks a little bit more like what you would actually expect Mao Cha to look like after it's been wet piled, as opposed to after wet piling, they take it and they put it in a machine and it shakes it and it drops down and it separates out the different grades according to their leaf size. This hasn't been done, although like I said, I think the chato, some of the stems, and some of the real large coarse leaf have been removed. So it's kind of lightly graded. That's not really the right word either, but anyways, you get the picture, I think, I hope. And feel free to ask questions down below if you need any kind of clarification about that. Let's go ahead and I just feel like this just keeps getting better, and it's really stable too. That's another really good sign that it's not just like, you know, or that it's not like, you know, something like that. It's just, you know, obviously the first steep was a little weak, and then it's just been here, you know, and it's showing different sides of itself as well. But yeah, there's still definitely wet pile taste. Even after this, I don't know what steep we're on now. I haven't been able to keep track because I don't have my cups, and my brain is totally addled from not enough sleep and double-fisted drinking He Zhai ripe tea. Although I really should hold both of the cups in my hand if I'm going to be drinking them double-fisted. Let's put that in there. Reboil this. Oh my goodness, what a day! Getting crazy. So yeah, chachi, caffeine, whatever you want to call it, definitely feeling it in this tea. Definitely feeling it. So, but it's nice. It's not too crazy. It's just, you know, if I were drinking a ripe like this, I would definitely feel quite a bit more souped up, as it were. No pun intended. Get a tea soup. Sorry. All right. Okay, so we got a little bit. It's clear. It's not quite as dark this time. I don't know if it was because the water's was not hot enough, or if I didn't do steeping long enough. I'm gonna reboil here and do this one. Lucy's down here. She is tired because she woke up at 6 a.m. What a charming little dog. The other thing about this tea, okay, I'm looking at it now, and maybe I'll try to get a shot of it after. I'll dump the tea leaves out and point the camera at it. But yeah, it's very green for a ripe tea. It's a very lightly wet piled tea. And of course, you can't tell the different teas, the different areas teas particularly well, because they were all wet piled together, so they would all have the same degree of wet piling and the same kind of tinge. But it still has quite a bit of green in there. And this is great because these lightly wet piled teas, especially when you use high quality material like this, the integrity of the leaf is much better. So if you take the leaf out and you do this with it, with a less lightly wet piled tea, a greener tea, it won't just turn to mud in your fingers like a more heavily wet piled tea, a higher degree of ripening, as it were. And so that helps preserve a lot of its character and its complexity. And it also will age longer too, and it'll kind of, instead of like reaching the 10-year mark and kind of just like I'm not going to change anymore. If it was a heavily fermented, heavily ripened wet piled tea versus one that is more lightly wet piled and still retains a lot of its sheng raw characteristics, its greenness, those will age more gradually and more gracefully as well. So the treatment of this tea, the raw material that was used in this in the wet to create the wet pile batch, the treatment by the tea master was, I think, just right on. I'm a big fan of teas like this. Not all the time. Sometimes it's good just to have a ripe that's more straightforward. But this has a lot of complexity, and I think a lot of that is due to A, the material, and B, of course, the treatment. How it was wet piled, the fact that it was wet piled without overdoing it, and it retains some of its sheng characteristics is a good thing. So. And that's why I think you can still taste some bitterness there. The astringent tea is interesting because it doesn't really come through so much on ripe teas, but a bitterness can come through after wet piling if the original tea used in the blend has some bitterness, and that's a good thing because I think that's kind of the fuel to help the tea age and to become interesting in its aging. Very sweet, very nice. That steep is a little bit weaker, I think, and I think probably because I didn't steep it long enough and the water wasn't hot enough. So I think this video is probably getting fairly long. We'll try the steep and we'll probably conclude it there. And I'll dump out the I'll cut to a take where I dump out the leaves and we can inspect them and check them out, so you can see what I'm talking about. But wow, this got me. Wow. Mostly I'm just really tired. As you can hear Lizzie snoring down there. She's amazing. God, I wish I could just do like half the 80% of the stuff that she does. I'm like kind of jealous. Like she wakes up in the morning and she goes from like being asleep to like charging out the door like at a pack of deer, like fearlessly, just like full bore sprinting. And she's 8 years old now, and it's not super old, but it's kind of old for a big dog. And then she comes back in and she eats, and then she goes back out again, or maybe she doesn't, or maybe she just goes to sleep. I mean, she can fall asleep in a second. She can wake up and fall asleep, and I just snap my fingers and she woke up. But if I don't do anything, she's looking outside. But yeah, there's so many things. It's just like, man, dogs are just awesome. Being a dog being Lucy would probably be pretty awesome. Unfortunately, not all dogs in the world have such a good life. Some dogs are just, anyways, I don't want to think about it. I'll get sad. But yeah, the buddy cake is out. We did do a video on that, and probably will be out by the time you watch this video. The buddy cake is the 2018 Yunnan sourcing buddy. It's a raw pu'er tea cake, and the proceeds go to benefit Central Texas refugees. They take dogs from kill shelters in rural Central Texas and rehome them. They go in and find the ones that are kind of at risk, and they will, use the donations to get them medical treatment, veterinary treatment, and then relocate them to. I think they're doing Washington and Virginia, and they do a couple of. They actually the woman who runs it, she drives the dogs herself and drives with another partner out and all the way to Washington from Texas or Virginia, and finds homes for them where they find homes where there's too many dogs, unfortunately, here in Central Texas, and they're not. Unfortunately, a lot of them aren't going to find homes, so they actually have to be taken to a different place in the U.S. where there are less rescues and more people available to adopt them. But anyways, the buddy cake, we're giving $5 for every cake that we sell to Central Texas refugees. So we press 500 cakes total. So so when we're all done, once all the cakes have been sold, they'll get a check for $2,500, or we may decide to just every 100 cakes or so, sending them a check, so that you can in this way you can help donate and save dogs, and you can get some great tea too. It's really good tea. And we're also going to press a buddy ripe cake as well, because we want to raise more money, and maybe not everybody wants to drink a really strong sheng pu'er, so we're going to make a ripe cake as well. Not this cake, but another one. So anyways, there's my plug. I wasn't actually planning to plug the buddy cake. I plugged it already once in the video, but I thought if you haven't watched that video, you could watch it, or you can go on check out the cake on yunnansourcing.com, yunnansourcing.us. But every little bit helps. It's not a huge amount of money, but we wanted to do something. We really you can read about our experience with Buddy and Central Texas refugees on the product listing, or you can watch that video. Nice and sweet. There's a really fruitiness. There's like a kind of a longan fruitiness to this now. The chocolatiness, the bitterness is definitely faded. It's very sweet and smooth at this point. I'm gonna re-steep it. Actually, I'm not. I'm gonna cut in the video here, and then I'll add a little bit in at the end where we look at the leaves, and you can see what I'm talking about in regards to light wet piling, which this tea is. But anyways, thanks for watching, and be watching out for the He Zhai ripe cake, which hopefully around the time this video comes out, that cake will also be out. But if not, once it is out, we'll link down below to the actual product listing, so you can find it more easily. But anyways, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below. If you have any questions, just leave them down there, and I will do my best to answer them. Thanks.